Okay, so you can see inside the plaster there. See what it looks like now. And when you're mixing it, you're just using one hand. You're trying to avoid really mixing it quickly because you don't want to get air bubbles through the plaster. So a gentle movement with your hand, and you're just giving it a mix around, making sure there's no lumps in there. And the softer you do it, the better, because you don't actually want to have bubbles in there, or avoid as many bubbles as you can. At that point, you can see the plaster starting to set. I get rid of that glove. I usually have a bag here to put that glove in, but I've forgotten to do that. And then we're taking the plaster, and we are, the first one is always a little bit more watery than the next pours. Let me fill it up to about there. Give it a bit of a tap to bring any bubbles to the top. Probably tap them all at the end rather than wait. You want to kind of move quickly at this stage to get the plaster into the moulds. Come back to that one. Depending on the weather of the day will depend on how quickly it sets. So with a nice warm day today and our nice warm sunroom here, you can see it's actually setting quite quickly, but I still can pour. I'll give those guys a tap. Some of them you don't have to fill up all the way because they're quite deep moulds. And you can see the bubbles coming to the top when I do a bit of a tap. They're coming up and raising out. All right, I'll try and get this one. Just be careful tapping that one where it's not held in place. And there's only a little bit left, so where I had this one, which is quite big, I'm going to swap it to this one, which is a bit smaller. Pop the rest of it into there. Now I'll use my other glove to scrape the rest of that out. And I'm going to wash that out in a second. Tap that out of there. And I can lose that glove now into my rubbish bag that's not there. And then I've got some twist ties. And I'm going to curl the end there. These are the end bits are going to be stuck inside the plaster so that they kind of anchor. Can you see that?
Yep.
And then put them in so, because they're flat plasters and can be hung on the wall. I'm going to pop them into each plaster mould, just with that little hooky bit sticking out the top. You can see this first one here with the water on the top. It might not even set because it's actually a little bit watery, but we'll see how it goes. Might be all right. That one. But that's why we have this little guy to suck off the water on the top, and then that will help that one set, because the water is probably not going to evaporate on a winter's day like this. You'll be able to see if any of them need a bit more of a tap as well, because they'll have a few bubbles or bits that aren't just quite right. And that is that for the minute. Now it's just a waiting game. If I was making more plasters, I'd have my next ones set up and I would go again, and then I start to rotate. So as I turn these ones out, I would then get them ready to go again, and I do a cycle of 2 sets going around and round to churn out as many as quickly as possible. And with this, we're just washing the plaster out into this bucket so that it's not going to go down the drain at any time, because you will clog your drains up with the plaster. This one doesn't matter if it stays a bit dirty, because you'll just have plaster going in and out of it all day. And you literally can make 100 plasters in a day with the setup if you keep going and coming back to it every time they dry, and put some more in. And then you see that water's quite cloudy, but it's only plaster in there. So when I do my next set of moulds, when I'm washing out, I'm still using this because it doesn't matter, because I'm just going to put plaster in it in a minute anyway. So as my water gets lower, I'll just go and get some more from the tap and fill that up a little bit more. But it doesn't matter that that's got plaster in it, because it's going to make plaster. So at the end, it's probably a good idea to take your moulds out and give them a rub over under the tap outside, so that there's no bits left inside the moulds, because you can lose your detail if you have crusty bits left in the moulds. And it dries in there, so it's important to keep them clean. I don't think there's anything else to say there, so I'll just wait and I'll show you how to tap them out later.